the studio. This is Naturally Gnar, episode 11. I had to think about it for a sec. Yep. Sponsored by Kohler Mountain Bike Preserve. We appreciate your support. Today, we have Jef Groff.
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
Dude,
hey.
Nice to meet
appreciate you coming in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This
yeah,
is
dude. Scot Ripple in the house. Hitting up, rocking the chat.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Let's see. Get busy on it. Let's
Get
see
busy. If somebody gonna talk on that piece.
Mm-hmm.
To preface a little bit, we had Alex Scott scheduled for today. He was still in New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't make it, and I hit Jef up.
I could come.
He could come, dude. Came through.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Too,
Came through in the
Thank
clutch.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fitting it in. I got to tell you, a busy week. So,
busy week
and
busy weekend. So like that, I guess we could probably start with that, as you might see in front of you there.
Yeah, I saw the
got
logo. That's great.
Dropped it down there. Got the Drifting WA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Toge, right?
Yeah.
So Toge in Eureka Springs.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be actually at the Passion Play.
Yeah.
So it's on their property, and it's
very cool.
It's been drifting has been a labor of love and something that I've been doing for a long time, and it's what I do for work. And so riding bikes is kind of like, it goes sort of hand in hand with some of that.
Sure. We're gonna dive deep for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm pulling some stuff out.
But the Passion Play was, it's a funny story.
Yeah.
The fact that I called them and that they were even willing
to do it.
Yeah. And they embraced us with open arms. Like
That's
there was
That's so rad.
Zero hesitation. It's like when you call somebody and you're kind of like, you're already expecting to get a no before you even, you're just like trying to get the last word out, and they're like
totally.
And they're like, heads, well, tell me more. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's so rad. That's so rad.
Yeah.
I've had to do some blind calls recently, and met with some no's.
Yeah.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
It's good to get used to no's, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Your
just
yes is right around the corner.
That's right.
Well, and you start getting more creative.
Absolutely.
With not accepting no.
Yeah.
And you have some rebuttals and comebacks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, let's before we get into that, I just kind of want to give our audience like a preface on who you are.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, I don't think you can fit it on one page, dude.
Yeah.
Like who Jef Groff is like it's pretty wide and expansive.
Wow.
You do so many things that, and I mean, you kind of seem like a jack of all trades, and you seem to be like a master at some.
Yeah,
Maybe
I don't know.
Hey, I'm the one calling the shots here. This is my show.
All right, I'll take it. All right.
But yeah, so like, dude, first, like, checking out your IMDb was pretty insane. I had no idea you had been doing stunt work since 2006.
Yeah,
probably earlier than that, because 2006 was the release.
Yeah, that was when I got my official union card for the Screen Actors Guild.
Gotcha.
And I started the year before that in 2005, and so it took me about a year to get in. I was doing like commercial work, and that's actually how I met my wife.
Really?
Before I even had my union card, I was on a commercial in downtown LA at FIDM, which is a Fashion Institute of Design Merchandising, and that's where my wife was going to school for garment manufacturing, because she's like loves, she's super artistic, wanted to be in the fashion industry and do all that stuff.
Right.
And it was a ESPN mobile commercial, and back when ESPN, they bought cell phone tower coverage from Sprint, and so they started their own phone network, and their slogan was all sports all the time. So when you got back then, I think they were just maybe mainly flip phones, and they had some of like the candy bar style where you would have the screen and then the buttons were below it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For all you younger listeners, you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about right now.
You lost them at flip phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're like, what's that? But yeah, so like they would just put up, basketball, everything. So they had every sport there. I mean, they put a bass fishing boat inside of the fountain, and there was a dude, like one of the pro fisher guys, and I mean they had the cheerleaders from the USC, they had the football team, I mean everything, I mean they had Lakers, they had, I mean it was wild. So I was down there on my BMX bike,
Oh, I love
just
it.
doing like roll around 180s and, you know, bunny hops and some tricks. And then, it was wild. But my wife, that's how I met her. And so it's,
That's
you know,
perfect. On a
That's
bike.
cool.
On a bike. That's
absolutely on a bike.
Super cool.
That's
Yeah.
pretty serendipitous.
Mm-hmm.
You live in Northwest Arkansas, right? You live in here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we moved here in March of 21, so
Yeah.
we're very happy, and absolutely my kids love it, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, to be honest with
Where are
you.
you from originally?
Born and raised in upstate New York, and then I moved out to California, and I've been out in California longer than I lived anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been out there for almost 23 years, and then we came here. So.
Oh, okay.
What part were you in?
Southern California.
Uh-huh.
The city that we lived in is Valencia, Castaic,
Okay.
Santa Clarita, where Six Flags Magic.
So both Scott and I are from SoCal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got SoCal in the house.
Yeah, we go back just because like it's so hard to once you're there. Like I hate California, like everything about it.
Mhm.
But
Same here.
I love what you can do there. Like
Yeah.
For sure.
you know, from the mountain biking to the ocean
Surfing.
to the racetrack,
Yeah.
everything.
Race.
Like
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
everything's there.
Yep.
It's just they ran that place into the ground. But
Yeah.
anyways, that's another.
That's a
different-
whole nother
Yeah.
topic.
we could have a whole episode
Yeah.
about how California's lame right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. What brought you out to Arkansas specifically?
Mainly, like during COVID, we did 4 trips across the country,
Okay.
and we just it's funny. So I used to race BMX as a kid, like raced and got really big into it in upstate New York. Did all the like regional events,
Regionals,
right,
yeah.
for AMA,
Oh yeah.
and then I qualified and I went to Secaucus, New Jersey for regional qualifiers,
Yep.
and then I actually won for the 15-year-old expert class, and then I got a ticket to go to Bluegrass Nationals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then I never went. Like,
Oh.
yeah, I don't know why. Like, I don't know if it was just something. I don't know.
Life didn't take
no,
you there.
No, I think it was, I don't know, just a thing. Like, I did it because like all my friends were doing it,
Sure.
and like it was something that was super important to them, and I don't know if it was super important to me. And I was just transitioning into really getting competitive in snowboarding,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was leaving in the summers to go to Wendell's up in Oregon.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that kind of really is what, you know, had my like whole heart at that time.
You had your sights set in snowboards.
Yeah.
Like,
And so it was just like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't even, if you know, sometimes you're just not feeling stuff. You know, you're just not,
Absolutely.
If you're not feeling it, you probably wouldn't have
Yeah.
did very well, anyways.
Well,
Oh,
and kind
yeah.
of like what you were saying earlier about like when you get no's, right? Well, I think it came easy, you know, for me. And it's
Mhm.
like when you have things that come and you don't have to put a lot into it, then you just don't have as much invested, right?
Right.
And so that's like a thing that I try to preach to my sons now is that, hey, if your heart's not in it, then don't do it because you're just going to waste your time. Like, I don't want you just to do it because dad wants you to do it or whatever. And that's what I want these kids to do now. Or like, hey, you know, the big thing is like, don't do it for anybody else, but do it if like your heart is in it, right?
Exactly.
because you'll do it for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you will not skip a beat. You will just, like, your trajectory of talent will go through the roof,
Mhm.
like, if you love it. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't and you're just doing it, it's like,
There's a lot of musicians that say that, you know, they
Yeah.
say we make music for us,
Right.
And if you like it, you like it. You
Well,
know?
Yeah.
and it's when like you say like something that's a labor of love, like
Right.
it ends up not being hard. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like work when you're doing it,
right.
You know.
And it's just like my work, what I do. It's I drift and slide cars because I love to do it. And then I found a job that pays me to do that.
That works
right?
into
But-
that, yeah.
But it's kind of like being well-rounded as an athlete. But I mean,
Sure.
like cars and bikes, whether it's motorized or pedal, I mean, between those two things, like I could be happy the rest of my life just doing those two disciplines.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, so what was it that actually like you got your sights set on Northwest Arkansas specifically?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant so. Yeah.
All good, dude. All good.
Yeah.
I'll keep us on track.
Yeah. Thank you.
Don't worry.
So, you know, I have 3 young boys, and at the time, they went, like, during COVID, they went to the ER more than we've ever have because, you know, we were all locked down. And in California, like, when it first came out, like, it was, you know, I could kind of smell something wasn't right, but it was enough to alert us, like, hey, something's going on. Like, we need to kind of be vigilant about this. Like, hey, let's just be careful. And so, you know, we stayed inside, and then our house backed right up to the Los Angeles County Forest, which goes all the way up the Grapevine, like halfway up the Grapevine before it gets into, I forgot what county it is. But anyways, we had 6,500 acres behind us. So we started hiking a bunch and just doing things as a family, like together.
Getting outdoors.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, hey, let's stretch our legs. We can't stay inside. Like, this isn't good.
No,
we need,
good.
you know, we need vitamin D. We need to get out and do everything.
Yeah.
And I can't sit still anyway. Like, I hate even being injured because I don't heal well. Like, I gotta move. I gotta do something.
Sure.
And so yeah, pretty much that was it. And then we started finding, like, all these little cliff jumping spots when we were hiking, and all these little watering holes and things. So we did that for a while. And my middle son Harlow, his birthday is the beginning of May, actually, Cinco de Mayo.
Nice.
And so we, after his birthday, we're like, hey man, let's just hit the road. And let's just go do some road trips. You know, if we get sick, whatever. We're just, you know, we're going to take our bikes and we're going to hit as many bike parks from California to Florida, where my mom lives. And we're going to go see our cousin, you know, their cousins and you know, relatives and stuff like that. So we did that, and we started out and we just kept going. And a friend of mine at our local bike park was like, hey, you got to hit up the rail yard in Rogers. Like, I have some friends that have been there, and, you know, it's built really well, and you guys would really love it, because it was kind of like our bike park. Our home bike park was Sapui in Thousand Oaks, California, and it's a, you know, full-on dirt jump.
Oh yeah, I think I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, wooden takeoffs for a majority of them. Like, the pro line is all wooden takeoff. Well, the first one, I think they redid it, but anyhow.
But it's all dirt landings.
All dirt landings.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And then the last, like, the section in the back, they're just awesome. Like, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth in, like, biking, because I quit after when I was 15, like, going back to that story. So from then and then until we started riding bikes right before COVID hit, like the end of 19, Harlow, my middle son, got into biking, and so we started going there together. And I saw that his eyes were just like, and he was just growing, like, quick, and just gravitated towards it. So I'm like, oh man, I'll break out. I had a 24-inch cruiser, a Haro.
Oh, man. Interesting.
And so I, like, you know, kitted it up, thought I was, you know, going to be able to shred.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope.
Yeah. No, things have changed.
Things have, grossly changed.
Yeah.
So I quickly ended up buying a new 26-inch dirt jumper and started getting that thing going. But it was a while to kind of get my sea legs back under the, you know.
So, but you started it with the dirt jumper, and from the Haro to the dirt jumper.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Into that kind of realm, and and it's just been amazing ever since. So
sick.
But then
so rail yard.
Yeah,
rail yard.
So we had to hit the rail yard, and we hit a bunch of parks. We went, like, Flagstaff and stopped somewhere in New Mexico. I forgot now. It's been so long. But we went all the way across, and then ended up in Florida. We were going to stop on our way through to hit here, but there was some storm that came through, and it was kind of messed up our timeline. So we just went to Florida, and then on the way back we stayed. And my wife, as soon as we were here, we were only supposed to stay for, I think, 2 nights. My wife's like, hey, let's extend our stay. Let's stay, like, I think 2 more. We either stayed 3 or 4 nights. And then by the time that on our 3rd or 4th, I think it was raining a few times, and she's like, let's start looking at homes. And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, wow. No joke. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I've been praying that my wife would want to leave California and raise our kids someplace else.
And it would be, like, her choice.
Her absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
Totally.
That it was my wife, like, led. That was the deal, is that she would, you know, be the leader behind it. So we went extended our stay, and then we left and we went up the northern route because she had some friends for her work that lived in Salt Lake City and some of the areas in Utah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of on our way back anyways, because we wanted to ride that park that was underneath the freeway there.
Yeah.
The underpass.
Yes, it looks so sick.
Yeah. So that was like the goal, was to get there, and then and I, believe it or not, on the way back we left her friend's house, and then I got COVID. And so I was like, I was
of all the people.
I know, like
you.
I made it the whole way and everything for 2 weeks or what. I was driving, and then I get sick on the way back, and so we ended up aborting that bike park, and then we just went back, and then a few months.
Oh, so you didn't get to ride that park?
No,
man, that place
bummed.
looks so rad.
I know. I forgot what it was called, but
I don't know what it's called, but I've seen so many like pictures and videos of it.
Oh, it's so
it
sick.
looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's well built, and it never gets any weather because it's underneath the underpass there. So it's really well manicured.
Yeah, and like having a place to like ride when the weather's bad. Like
absolutely,
legit.
And so and then we did it again later in the year. And that was like, we went through again, and by that time it was just like, all right, we're gonna start looking at homes, and I was like, all right, I guess we're gonna do it. And I had obviously no idea what was happening in the world, and I've been in my industry long enough to thankfully build up a name and a reputation that guys know what I'm going to give them, and what they, because you're an independent contractor as a stunt professional.
Totally. So you have to make sure that you build those relationships, and if you aren't living in like a locale, but you do have a name,
right,
that you'll still get the calls.
Absolutely,
they'll still fly you out.
Absolutely,
stuff like that.
So basically, that's the whole deal. And I felt comfortable. I mean, it was definitely. Oh man, it was definitely scary for sure. It was kind of like a first jump from when
leap of faith.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely a huge leap of faith, and God provided. So we're here, and I feel like I'm never home. But thankfully, last year was a strike. We can get into all that stuff, but but yeah, man, we ended up landing here. We rented a house for 9 months.
Oh wow!
And pretty much my wife and my kids did, because we landed.
Rental. I just had to.
We landed here, and then 2 weeks later I left for Thailand for a Marvel show, and I was there all the way in from March until I came back on my son's birthday, and then I was home for 2 more weeks, and then I went to Pittsburgh to coordinate a show on Hulu, and I was there for 4.5 months. Sidebar: Pittsburgh is amazing for dirt jumps.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh, the scene
I
there.
would not have.
The scene there is amazing. Like, I went, and the wheel mill just closed down, but their indoor bike park they had like, it was amazing. It was literally right down the road from where they were putting me up. And then I ended up meeting a guy there, and right behind my hotel, like across the street and up, like it was like 2 blocks from my hotel, he had all these dirt jumps. And oh
wow!
I tell you what, like the scene there,
right place, right time.
Oh my gosh! Like the scene there is huge, because then it's like you have the Hallahans. They ride for their brothers, their young kids. They ride for S&M, and they have it like they have a full blown multiple jump lines in their backyard, and this is all in Pittsburgh. And those guys are savage. Like, they could outride me like with their eyes closed. Like it's nuts.
Well, it's good to ride with people like that every once in a while.
And their kids, kids. They're
right.
They're like, I think the older one is like maybe 16 now. But
well, then in that case, you let your kid ride with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Let them grow into that.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we ended up landing here, and it's been, it's adjusting for sure, but I love all the people. Like, we kind of found our friend group, and cool. Riding, and it's been a lot of fun to just kind of see what bikes have kind of built for us here, and biking, and so yeah,
that's great, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty rad how you kind of find your people, or you find this places that there's empty holes, and you can just fill them, and it's just all from riding bikes and having fun. So
you're hitting a lot of trail riding, or okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll go back to California at least once. Sometimes I go back twice in the season just to ride Summit and ride chairlift bike parks.
Yeah, I've been to Summit a few times. I brought him there last summer.
Yeah, we went last summer.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's
great.
It's one of the best. Like,
It is one of the best.
I mean, it's
what is it? Party Wave to
West
West Ridge.
Yeah,
Muscle Beach.
Yeah,
Muscle Beach is
that step up's gnarly.
Oh yeah.
So you went there. So last year, that's when
after the rebuild.
Yeah, the rebuild, and they did the wooden drop in, right? Because it was over.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because before that, like you would have dudes that were flying
the crossover.
Down. Yes,
and
and
people.
you would
I didn't know about
wait.
it. People told me about how dangerous it was.
Oh my gosh, there was like gnarly T-bones all the all the time.
The bridge makes sense now.
Yeah, the bridge is way better.
Yeah,
and it also creates that like that kind of chill zone up there.
Yeah,
because you can pedal in real easy.
Yeah, that would always be like for the last 4. I don't know what's that since 19 or 18 or I'm sorry 20 since 20, been going back there, and I mean. It's like up by that tree, kind of like where everybody parks at, you know, and drop in. Like that's kind of always been the zone.
Oh, okay. And, but it was like just dangerous before because you probably dropped into that.
You go down. It was just it's all moon dust, so it's super silty, and you're just going in, and then some people just become flying down. And you're like, try to navigate it.
I don't know. I'm gonna be the devil advocate here. So I swear that you're on that perch. You can see what's coming on.
Absolutely.
So it's like, bro, like look, you can see when somebody's coming.
I think I think it was more for like people that were just impatient, and then
and they just dropped.
Their group of friends went, and then so they all just went, right? Because you have a lot of people, especially I think what brought it on is obviously you guys both know we had a huge influx of mountain bike and bicycle riders during COVID.
Oh yeah,
and so I had never seen at Summit. I had never seen so many diverse people and but just diverse people groups. Like so, you had not just white people, not black people, but it was like everything.
Everybody.
Latinos. You had everything. Chinese. Everybody. Every demographic was there, and so. There's some language barriers or maybe even just riding etiquette barriers that are just
new riders don't really know.
And so they're not riding out on the street or in trails. They're like, I'm going to go to Snow Summit or the bike park. And, that's kind of like where
it's you don't know about getting snaked.
Yeah. So I will tell you what, sidebar.
Yeah.
If anybody wants a really good laugh, there's a Instagram page called Kooks of Summit.
Oh, Kooks of Summit?
Kooks of Summit, and it is hilarious. You will see some of the funniest things of like just what happens on the trail.
That sounds rad.
When like you're like,
I hope I'm not on there.
Why?
He got me doing it in 2020, and I was in San Diego.
Oh yes,
yeah.
He's a COVID rider.
I'm a COVID rider too.
Yeah.
And there was a good portion of I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah,
and in etiquette was just like
etiquette's a big one.
Thinking about that.
Yeah, because you never.
Well, and it's like, where do you stop? Or if your friends are like, oh, hey,
where's the chill spot?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
They're like, oh, hey, go down there. We're gonna hit these next 3 jumps, and even if you don't want to hit them, where's there?
Well, I mean, I'll even speak because like I only went there one time, and even just like dealing with traffic. So like you'd be like hitting a line and you're cruising at your speed. All of a sudden you just like up on somebody and you're like, oh geez, so I'm gonna chill back a little bit,
right?
And then that person just stops,
absolutely.
Like out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, like
yes.
like because I think a lot of that was happening was like people trying to like stop for their group, maybe.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
just waiting for my friends or whatever.
Absolutely.
And then they're like surprised you're behind them.
Yeah.
So that's Summit.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like it's any bike park, to be honest with you. And I'm sure from what I've been to. And the really rad thing about that is Gravity Logic built that, which is the same.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so Gravity Logic built that.
I had no idea.
And Whistler. And then have you ever been to Thunder Mountain?
No, but it looks.
Oh my gosh,
those jumps look so lovely for being big jumps. You know what I mean? Like they just look. Yeah, they look appealing.
So Fort Hill, and Fort Hill is their gnarly pro line, which they make you sign a waiver on.
Oh, like, rad!
They're the that was the I will
with those 2 big jumps at the end.
No, they're way more than 2 jumps. Like
no, I mean I just think about those like real like they're
massive.
They're massive.
Yeah. So I think the last one, to be honest with you, it's either 60 or 80 foot gap. And you're on a full down. Like when I dropped into there, I tell this story a lot, but there's this. Come to find out, I thought he was older, right? And he just went like gray earlier, and I was on a side trail. I'm there I'm there for work. Like, I can't get hurt. I'm on a big show, and half the time when I'm at work, like, I go find all this fun stuff to do, right? Because I'm in these locations that you just, you're not
never going to be here.
Why would I ever think that there would be a rad bike park in Massachusetts, right?
Totally.
Like, the state's flat. I mean, you'd think. Well, hands down, one of the best bike parks I've ever been to. I mean, Snow Summit, Whistler, in there, for me, are like my favorites, because they're all built the same by the same company.
Gravity Logic.
Yeah.
Gravity Logic.
And it rips like that. So Thunder Mountain has 1,000 feet of elevation, which is tiny. So from the chairlift at the bottom to the chairlift at the top.
That's like Ponca.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 1,000 feet of elevation. I did it. Like, I checked it. And the trail, so they have their jump lines called Hollywood, and when you drop in the upper section, and then you get down to where you split off and you go underneath there's a little overhang, and it would take about 7 minutes to get down to the bottom. Like, if you did all the stuff in a normal pace. Like, if you were racing, like, you could do it probably in like 3 to 5 minutes.
But like general trail speed.
General trail speed.
Yeah.
And now if you're jamming at Snow Summit, and that has 9,000 feet of elevation, I think the top is 9,000, and then the where that starts at is at 5 or something like that. So it's like four. It's like 4,500 feet of elevation, right? So it's 4 times that, right? And it's 9 minutes from top to bottom, going party wave, going the green trail, whatever you want to do. Top to bottom is 9 minutes.
Gotcha.
So if you do that evaluation, they made a lot
with a little,
yes, right? Because they just use their terrain, like, in how it flows. I tell you what, man, if you can go to Thunder Mountain, I mean, I should get a sponsorship now for pumping so much. But
we need to pull this short for them.
Yeah, I tell you what, it like, we rode, believe it or not, with another stunt guy who's a killer BMX dude. His name's Danny Downey. We rode Hollywood all day, same trail, never got bored.
Love it.
Never.
One trail.
Never.
One trail. Love it.
I mean, but now I was riding with this dude James, and I rode with him the day before, and then they came up the next day, and like, he showed, there's all these little cuts and cool little drop and things that, like, you would never know unless you were a local.
Like multiple hits, like alt lines.
Well, it's just so you're going around, and it's all these like snake switchbacks and whatever, and he just, like, all of a sudden one time just came over and lipped off the one, and then landed in the berm of the one down, and you can't even see it. It's completely blind. And I started laughing. So, when you're like in your helmet and you're just
so stoked,
like, your stoke is super high, and that was that happened, and I go, oh my gosh. And then, like, he like would go, and then it was another one, and you just you meet up with the locals, and that's a great point. It's like the same thing. That's why I say drifting is so much like bikes, because it's such a grassroots thing, and I think biking, like,
absolutely,
like how we all ride or you ride, like, you have your small little groups. But even if you guys met other people that were out on the trail or were at a jump line or whatever, and everybody starts chatting, that's the greatest part about it, because you're like, oh yeah, hey, try this, or go over here, or we're going to go do these other trails, and then you end up riding with them, and they show you something that you never know, and you might have been here for 5 years.
Totally.
Yeah. And just walking away doing something you never anticipated doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
or getting tips from, like, locals, like other local people, like, and what their culture is. And I think that's it. I think it's like you're being like unified by the culture.
Yes.
Like you're unified by culture.
Yes.
Where it's like, hey, skateboarding is the same way. Like you see a skater and you're like, I think we're friends already.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think we're friends now.
Right. It's like that line from Step Brothers.
Oh,
it's
it
like,
is.
Are we best friends?
Are we best friends?
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, so like I knew that there was some, and this is just like a sidebar, that question that I had. I was like thinking about the parallels between drifting and mountain bike.
Right.
So one thing in mountain bike, and I preach this for, like, in my, I'm not a trainer, but I would, if I were training, this is one of my points, is you go where you look.
Absolutely.
Is that something that happens with drift?
Absolutely. So
okay.
If, you're in there and you're looking at, like, the outer zone, like, especially if you're coming into, sorry, I didn't mean to go away from that.
Yeah, it's all good.
So if you're going into an outer zone where there's either guardrail or there's, like, K barriers, or it just might be the outside zone of the track where there's just grass on the other side. If you keep looking there and you don't keep looking through the corner, like where the corner goes, you're gonna go off track
or into a wall. If
you're
there's a wall,
yeah, you're gonna go to the wall for sure.
Yeah, right.
Because it's the same. Bikes, skateboarding. I think anything like athletic, especially like if you think about like acrobats, like where you go and how you move your head, your body falls. So if
your
you
body follows.
Yeah, you come out of a rotation.
Yep.
Well, you start turning away, or you look. That's where it's gonna go every
crazy.
time. Yeah.
Whenever you're climbing up trail and you look back at your buddy.
Yeah. Boom.
You eat it. You eat it. Yeah. Every time. And you always like go the way that you're right. If you looked that way,
that's your bike goes to the right.
You're gonna go that way, and you're gonna eat it that way.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's
I try
crazy.
to practice that skill. Like, but I'm gonna keep going straight.
Yeah. Hold your bars.
Trick your brain. Yeah.
Yeah, but it still doesn't work that well.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I did think that like it's something about like you go where you look.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because
cool,
it's the same with snowboarding. Like,
it's
sure. Everything.
All this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Moto. You're looking, in the rut, like in your line. I mean, everything is the same.
I always think about those dudes that do those super moto whips. It's so popular now, like the turn back moto whip.
Oh my gosh.
And they look back. And they're looking at like the camera behind them, and then they look back and they just go back to where they're looking.
Well, I watched it like for just to even moto, right? So let's go back to bike. Like I always watch the best whip competition.
Oh yeah,
and there's the dudes that are on like the downhill bikes, and they're now doing the same thing where
the downhill bike.
They're getting, and you can't turn it because the forks hit the tube stops, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or the frame stop, and it's to me it blows my mind how they can get it back. I've seen a couple guys get hung up and they're just like
they're holding it sideways and they just slam.
Exactly. But just to watch, it's super impressive. I just watched this video of this kid and he was prepping for one, and he came off at such a gnarly angle, and he was able to bring it all the way backwards, and then come back, and you see him, and it was just like he was on a dirt bike, but you don't have that throttle to whip
it around
it's
to generate the momentum.
Yes, exactly. And then that kind of like drives you out of it. But anyhow,
whips.
Talent these days is just through the roof.
It's super kill. So you having this event coming up, and that's this weekend, right?
Saturday,
right?
Sunday. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm super bummed because I do want to check it out, but we committed ourselves to a dig day in Missouri.
Oh,
and it's a commitment.
Absolutely. No, I hear you.
But you said it's 2 days, right?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. Yep.
Okay, I might be able to do the other one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Come on up. We'd love to have you and have anybody. It's been a labor of love. I've wanted to do street drifting for a long time, like legally.
Dude, I want to pull it up on screen. Keep talking about it. I want to try to pull it for the
legally for a long time. And then when I came here, there was obviously no racing drift series or any local tracks that were in, I think, a reasonable distance. Like from where my house in California, I could be at our local track, Willow Springs, in about an hour, right? So load up time, all that, but there's just nothing around here. I have to drive to Oklahoma, or I have to go down to kind of by Little Rock to this place called Stuttgart with this other drift group down there. And I'm like, man, that's a lot of driving.
Yeah.
And so I figured, why not start my own thing? And from riding dirt bikes with Gary and this guy Flip, Gary who runs the Walton Foundation, and this other dude Flip, just amazing human beings. And he's like, hey, I have a friend who runs autocross events down in Fort Smith. He goes, you might want to ring him and say, maybe you could just trade days or something. And this guy's name is Brandon. And sure enough, I called Brandon, I don't know, probably maybe like 6 months later, and I said, hey, are you still doing like autocross events? I have, and he's like, well, come to find out, I just lost our location. And they were at like this, I've never been down there to that area, but they used to hold them at the Fort Chaffee.
Yeah, Fort Chaffee. Yeah.
So there was the Marine
Marine base.
Yeah, down there.
Military base.
Yep. And then it was abandoned, and so they would just have their events on the streets of the barracks. And then some land developer came and they bought that up, and they said no more of this, and so they kicked them out. And that was in, I think, 2021 or 22. And unfortunately, he's like, yeah, I don't have any spots. And so I just started, he said he called some of these places, and I'm like, well, I'm going to call and do some of my schmoozing and see if I could hustle up something.
Yeah.
So I called some like big church parking lots, things like that. You're going to get a no matter what. And then I called the Drake Field Airport.
Drake Field, yeah.
And sure enough, that's what ended up. They were like, yeah, we think that this is a great fit for our community. And, it was, they let us come out there for a test. And the director of the airport was there. We had the chief of, the police chief, the fire chief, and a bunch, I had 6 guys come out, and we all kind of just drove and had fun. I ended up,
so this is
there it is. Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. That's at the Drake Field Airport. All last season.
Yeah, I want to get it.
I think that's
get it big for everybody.
Yeah, man, place is just so rad. It's the surface there is it's really weird. So it's not they have to treat the surface. It's textured concrete because when the airplanes come in and they land, they have to have really grippy surface. And was an old not abandoned, but it was an old taxiway, and it's cool because it's like half of a track and then also half of just an open, like kind of parking lot style. This was a competition, and I create all these layouts every event. There's a new layout, so it's never the same way twice.
Right.
And these guys are in a tandem competition. So if you don't know what drifting is, basically and he tags. He actually
got him.
Yeah, tagged him right there. So the lead guy's name is Nick, and the follow guy's name is Dylan, and they're both really good drivers, and they've been to almost all my events. But yeah, so you during a tandem competition, you as the lead guy sets the line. The chase guy is to try to get as close as possible to him on the inside of his door, never in front of him, and far back behind doesn't really count. So you want to kind of be not really door to door, but you want your front tire to kind of be right, what's it called, in the pocket.
The pocket,
yeah. You want to be right in his door, like your front tire to be right in his door, and then just mimic all of whatever that lead guard is doing. And it's something that's kind of like it's like riding bikes, but it's just a skill. And really good for hand-eye coordination and just kind of knowing. And what we do with biking, a lot of it is just feel, right? You kind of feel what the rear end is doing. You feel what your bike is doing. And it's the same with the car. I can kind of tell, and I watch different things. Like when I'm driving or competing, I'll watch the different things on the car, and it'll tell me what the car's going to do before the car does it.
Oh, gotcha.
So I have these little, just from doing it for so long, you can kind of watch.
I got some questions about that. So with like tandem, it's judged, right?
Yeah. This competition we'll do some events that aren't. It'll just be for fun.
Okay.
But yes,
I mean, like tandem in general is judged.
Yes, a judged sport. Yep.
So it's like you do these.
So you saw right there when he passed, there was a chalked box, right?
Yes.
And so each
what do
one
they call those?
Well, it's just a zone.
So
inner zone,
outer zone.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
And the closer you are to, if you go through the whole thing, then you get full points. And if you go through like the outer end, it's like you get like a segment of points. We kind of delineate based off of where the car is going through the zone at.
Right.
And then how long they're in the zone too. If they go through if they get in early and then they get all the way through it and then they're in deep the whole way without going over it, then that's like max control. Then you get max points. Right.
So, and so like I've always kind of understood that there's something like about style too.
Absolutely.
Like it's
style's a big thing.
There's like messy drifting, and then there's like clean and calculated drifting.
So believe it or not, like Nick in the lead right here, like he wasn't really in the zone. Dylan's he's kind of chopping line. He's straightened up in a couple areas,
and then
and he loops, or I don't know what he did, but he dies out there, and then he reinitiates and he goes
caught back up. Yeah.
Right. So then, and you can kind of see how he's wavering,
but then like he's not matching the angle there. That's where he taps him.
Absolutely. So he had way too much grip in his car for his power level, so he couldn't keep the tire spinning. So that's what I talked to him afterwards, because he's a younger kid.
Okay.
And believe it or not, for this, he wasn't even going to make the event. Like they pulled the engine and trans the night before this event, got it all back and running, and made the event because there was like he was having some issue, I think the trans or something. But super good kid. He'll actually be out there this weekend.
Okay.
Rad. And Nick will be as well. There's several local guys, but then I have people coming from all over the country. I got guys coming from.
I noticed that.
Yeah, down to Florida.
And one of the things I wanted to point out, so I want to go back to the.
Is it kind of choreographed, like in these competitions?
No.
These guys kind of go, "We're gonna do this." Or
No, it's not. You have to figure out whatever the lead driver. Yeah, and it's his job to run the best lead run. Like, so he's getting judged as well. And then if there's ever like a kind of like a question whether or not, like, okay, the runs were very similar, then they go back to the first lead runs and they go, who did a better lead run? Did Nick or did Dylan do a better lead run? And then that guy will typically get the win. If like their runs were kind of close, then they'll go lead for lead and then chase for chase. And so it gives you an idea of like judging when you're looking at it and you're looking at the cars. And ours, we don't have any fancy like live stream or anything like that like some of these other events do. I mean, this was our first season last year, and then now we're doing something like this where we're getting the drift on private property on basically a lane and a half size of a country road.
Yeah, I want people to see this because like the road is not big at all.
The road is tight, man. Jeez.
So this was like when I probably did about 8 laps when I went to test this place out, and I tried it like, and I brought Nick specifically because I'm like, hey, he's lower horsepower. Like
okay.
I have. We originally dynoed my car and I made like 580 to the wheels, and this is just my play car. Like this 240s are fun, like the fun haver, and
right.
And the Nick's right around the 400 zone, and so I wanted a car that had lower horsepower, just like, hey,
so you can see both,
and say, do you feel like you can have fun, and do you feel like you're in control, or do you feel like it's too sketchy? You know, it's like give me your honest feedback.
Right.
And once he gave me the thumbs up, and it's just like, man, he's like, after that, he goes, dude, I couldn't stop thinking about it for like days. He goes,
I love that.
I kept my wife, like his wife actually messaged my wife and was just like,
he won't stop talking about it.
That's exactly what happened. And so
I love it.
There's just something really cool about it, and the fact that like, so that first like hairpin turn right there, and then right below the section there. Yes. Yeah. So all that whole area is just going to be full with spectators.
I love it. Yeah, I know. I can't wait.
It's never been done before because typically mountain driving has always been done illegally.
Oh, yeah,
right?
For sure.
And there is another group that's doing it, and they've done it before us, and I can't, my hat's off to them. I'm super, super stoked that they had got this going. I've been trying to do this for, about a year and a half now. Like I mean,
it's super ambitious.
Hours and hours, like driving all over the state, trying to
find the right place.
I found places. Don't get me wrong. I found plenty of places, but
private.
Well, no, because they're public roads. But then you have to go through the permitting process, and then there's a lot of that. And no joke, we have a $10 million liability policy, like one of the best in the nation. Right? Yeah. It's like we have maximum coverage, and I would get no's.
People still wouldn't take it.
No, because if anything happens, they're like, oh, we're going to be liable, or the city doesn't want to be liable, or the state doesn't want to be liable. And something like this, is going to open eyes up and be like, hey, there's a lot of possibilities, because the city of Eureka Springs has embraced us with open arms.
Oh,
like, dude, on Saturday,
Eureka is rad when it comes to stuff like that.
I talked to the police officer yesterday. She called me up just to get some further information, because we're going to have police presence there. Just because typical car shows and stuff, when they leave, like they all of a sudden feel like they're in the Fast and Furious, and they feel like
Been there.
So because we want to respect the property, the venue, and then also the city, because they're really embracing us like with open arms.
Well, it's good in that instance because the police station's like right down the road.
Right down the road, and the fire department.
And the fire department.
Yeah, they're right there. They're like, hey, we're literally less than 3 minutes from you if anything happens. And but we want them there anyways, just to one, show the passion play that like, hey, we respect you, we thank you,
and we want to take it serious.
We want this to be kept nice, because it's not an alcohol thing, it's not a drug thing. It's like we're doing something that is full of adrenaline and full of stoke that you don't
need drugs for this.
Right?
Yeah.
So with people come in, and then I'm bringing a couple YouTube guys.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So Micah he's one of the Hoonigan host.
Micah from Hoonigan.
Yeah,
Oh, rad.
Yeah.
Rad.
He's been doing their stuff for a long time.
Okay.
And then Taylor Ray, he's on YouTube. I actually, him and I have been going back and forth. I believe Taylor's not going to be able to make it, but he's trying. He went to another event. I want to say it was a week or 2 weeks ago, and he's been having certain issues with his car, and it's either motor or an ECU. So he was hoping that he could get an ECU in time to test it from a friend, and I think he kind of ran out of time because he's coming up from Orlando, Florida, and Micah literally just drove in from California.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
He's here already?
He got in last night,
Rad.
and he's stoked. He actually is on his way. That's who called me, actually.
Oh, rad.
But actually, Mike and I used to compete together when in the very beginning of my drifting career back in 2013.
Oh, because you were in SoCal.
Yeah, that's where I started.
Sense. This makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I started my drift career back in 2013.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Where were you drifting in SoCal?
So it started Willow Springs.
Willow Springs.
There's a place that used to be called Grange. Now it's Apple Valley.
Apple Valley. Yeah. I used to live in Apple Valley.
Yep. And then at Adams Kart Track. And now it's Adams Motorsports Complex. And then the Orange Show, which is the Orange Bowl, and down in the city of Orange and out there. So they'd have events out there. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
So how did you translate that into, or transition that into stunt driving? Like,
so I got into stunts before I started doing competitive drifting, and I got I think, I fully believe, obviously I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I think that God blessed me with talent. It kind of goes back to something like, if it comes easy to you, you don't have the same drive as if it's something you have to work for. And God definitely blessed me with things that came easy. And so when I first got into stunts, I had no idea what I was doing. I thought it was like, riding bikes, or, it's like, oh, you just got to fall down or whatever. I'm like, I do that all the time. Like, you get
I
paid.
just need you to climb to the top of that thing.
Yeah,
and you're like,
all
right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to get one-handed, or do you want blindfold?
Oh, dude, actually, I want to bring this shot up. This one cracks me up. I saw this on your IMDb, and I was like, this cracks me up.
That was a show called Doom 3 in Chicago, and that was probably one of the most fun but also most stressful times of my life, for many reasons. But I got to do so many different variations of stunts, and that was that was my first major feature film that I got called, and I was one of the lead doubles on stunt doubles for one of the main actors. And so I was doing motorcycle chases. I was doing car work. I was hanging from the helicopter for weeks.
I want to go to this. This one.
Yeah, so that was it. One of them was so I had to do so we were testing the bike to make sure it could handle it, because we had to do a 30-foot gap from a pier onto a barge that was moving.
And so you were making sure that the jump could take, or
the motorcycle, because we were just making sure that the motorcycle could handle the impact, because we were coming in flying, right? And we had and it was going, like, it wasn't tied up. There was nothing stopping it. So we had safety divers and stuff in the water if something happened. Yep. And no joke, so it's me and the other stunt double, and we go off, and we're side by side going over, and I kind of got the wheel up, and so I came in, and then I sort of throttled it in, and he did the same thing, but when he came in, he blew his front tire.
And he landed?
Yeah, so when he came in, it just tackled the wheel, and it smacked the oil pan, and oil went everywhere. So he was like
sliding.
Yeah, gathered it up, but luckily we both stopped before the end of it. But yeah, it was gnarly. It was,
wow.
Yeah. But those are the things. That's why it's stunt. There's
for sure.
You plan for it. We have all the safety measures, all that stuff in line. But there's always a level of it that could go wrong, right? And that's what you sign up. You go into that knowing that something could go wrong at the end of the day. So, but that's what I do. And it's
how I'm just curious. Like, how do you even get to that point? Like, You don't go to school for it
No.
or anything. Or,
No.
you know
No,
what I mean?
there believe it or not, there are stunt schools, but
Uh-huh.
when I was coming up, a lot of the older guys, like the original stunt coordinators and older stunt guys, like they just look down on it because typically, like stunt schools are started by guys that aren't working. Right?
They're probably just like trying to make a buck off the industry.
Absolutely, right? So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'll create a hole because I'm not working, and it's kind of like, believe it or not, there's some of the not good acting coaches or acting coaches are all just washed up, right? Or they don't work a lot.
They're just looking for that's their
right,
work.
but they love the craft, just like. And I'm not taking anything away from the people that have started
That
stunt
makes sense.
schools
Yeah.
because they love the craft, but they're trying to find something that they can do right in that
field,
discipline,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
and still make money. And my hat's off to them. I support it. I think it's great, but
That's a great perspective.
you're not necessarily learning from the best guys, and you're not learning the best tactics. So some of it is just natural talent, and then when you get to work with a lot of these top pros, and I'm a sponge. No matter, like even today, like when I was on this last show that I was on in Atlanta, I was working with guys that are older than me, younger than me, and I love just seeing what people do, like how they do things, because you can learn from anybody if your mind's,
so.
you know, and then that way I take my style and my thing, and then I just kind of tweak it, or I'll maybe put in a little, you know, of something that they did, their flavor, and I'll mix it with mine, and then you have a Jef mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is cool to watch how other stuntmen embrace a stunt.
Absolutely.
And how they're going to approach it.
Well, it's kind of, I don't know why. Of course, I want to pull it back to mountain biking, but it's like people doing a whip differently. Like, there's so many different ways to do a whip.
So many different ways. Yeah.
There's so many different ways, I'm sure, to like execute a scene. For a stunt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes to
style-wise.
Absolutely, style-wise. You know, and that's the thing. I think, and that's what kind of gets you locked in too, and that's what guys kind of start to learn. It's like, I know what I'm going to get from you, you know, so that's why I'm like, hey, are you available? You know, because I know exactly what you're going to give me.
Yes.
And I know your style, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to tell them, hey, we just need you to go down here, and I need you to hit these 2 jumps in a row, and when you pull off, just like, you know, wave your hand.
Look a certain way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, and so every time you do it, you might do it a little bit different to give me a little bit of flavor or style,
or to give like the editor a few things to cut.
Absolutely, right. And then you go down, and then maybe, you know, and so it's just like, that's exactly what they're looking for. It's just different variations, something, but they want somebody that can do it the same every time after time. Because I mean, if not,
take instruction to
absolutely,
and adjust from the instruction that they give you.
Because I've seen a lot of top athletes, even professional race car drivers and everything, come in the business, and it's really difficult to watch them because that's like they don't take direction well, or they already have this like big head of like, you know,
I do it a certain way,
right, and this is the way you got to shoot it because this is what you're hiring. No, it's like they still. And some can do that, and it's fine. But at the end of the day, you know, I want to give the director what he wants.
Yep.
Right? Or the stunt coordinator, second unit director.
Yep.
I want to give him exactly what they want, but I'm going to give it with my style or my, you know, because they might ask me to come in. Like right now, like I started my career, and then I specialize in motorcycle, car, vehicular stuff. Like that's where my cup of tea is. Like that's my passion. Sure. I love that. I'm deep into that world. And so if you hire me and you tell me like, oh, this is our scene, and I'm like, okay, like, do you, and I'll ask questions. And so I'll just pick their brain, and then I'll go back and I'll get in my zone. I'll close my eyes. I'll, you know, figure things out. I'll say some prayers, and I'll do my stuff. And then I'll come out and I'll kind of give a couple different little variations of that. Sometimes we'll get it on the first take, and you're like, oh, well, I didn't really get to give you any, you know, anything different.
Like, are you sure that's all you need?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because, you know, now I'm just warming up, right?
Right.
The first one is always sort of
you're like asking them, like, you sure you want? I'll give you another one. I'll give you another one.
Yeah. There's several times. Typically, you're just like, man, we got to do this again.
Yeah.
You know, but then there's other times
because you're doing simple stuff.
Where you're just like, they may have liked that one, but you're like, nah, I got a way better one.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, because you're, you know, and two,
you know your skill.
A lot of these things, like, it's like, hey, if I brought you out, or let's say we showed up at some trail together, and I just said, hey, okay, you ride it at 100% on your bike, and then I need you to ride it 100% on my bike without adjusting anything, without doing anything.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to do in my line of work, because we'll get these cars, or we'll get a bike or whatever, and, you know, I mean, we have a really great people, talented. Another, it's called Picture Cars, and they set the cars up, and they do the best job that they can setting these cars up to make them do whatever kind of the script needs. But a lot of times it's just for looks. So the car might look super gnarly on the outside, crazy, awesome, whatever, but then
it's like fast,
runs like a pile of crap, right? Or whatever. And so it's like,
oh, gotcha.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite of what you think, because it's awesome right on the outside because that's what they're seeing. But then they don't really need,
it's a picture car because it's supposed to look the part.
You look the part, right?
But it doesn't perform the part. Yeah,
so I always tell people,
okay,
you're only as good as the tools that you're given, right?
Oh,
but like a really good guy will give you the best that he possibly can, even if you give him a crap sandwich, right?
Oh,
so he's going to give it, and he's going to be like, you know what, I'm going to take this and I'm going to try to do whatever I can with it. And that's the attitude I go into it with, because, I wouldn't be worth anything if I couldn't give you something, no matter what, right? Because
even with a trashy tool,
right? If I had to have it 100%, anybody could do it, or not anybody, but I'm just saying,
it'd be easier.
It'd be way easier if the car was like, fully set up. It was great. The diff locked up, the handbrake was perfect. It had an angle kit on it.
It's got a tuned ECU for what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's I've only been on one show where I've ever had an angle kit to give me more steering angle in my whole entire career.
Dang it.
Almost 20 years.
That was totally my question too.
I've never
there.
I've never had an angle kit on a car to give me more angle.
That
so
only one show.
One time.
One show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can get you can show up on set, and the people that got the car set up for you, may not have the. I don't know how to say it, but it's like maybe the car's not capable, but because they don't know. Or is everybody kind of like pretty know what they're doing?
So what happens is the picture car coordinator will get the script just like I get the script, and they have to read the scenes of like what the car needs, what the cars need to do. So they'll set it up for that. But let's just say it'll do that for maybe 1 or 2 or 3 takes, and then it blows a head gasket because it overheats, right?
Yeah.
But at a race we can shut it down and be like, okay,
and work on it.
Do whatever.
Yep.
But time is money.
The cameras are rolling.
Shut the street down. So we don't care if this thing blows up. We need you to do what you got to do.
So
right?
and then
that's kind of what you got to do.
Okay, so you worked on a few fast films.
Yeah, I did the last 3. Yep.
So a lot of those cars, I've watched some documentary pieces where there's like multiples of each car. Lots of them.
Yes.
Okay, but then I would imagine. I think about like a bike or the skateboard where it's like, I have this like tuned to me. I ride it like this and it's set like this. If you made 4 copies of it, 5 copies of it, it's gonna
each one
1 to 5 is gonna be a little different.
Yeah. So and you're exactly right, because they're on Fast 9. There was a large section of pretty much all the Tbilisi stuff that we shot actually in Georgia, Tbilisi, Georgia.
Yeah.
I was doubling Dom in that, and so I was driving the Charger. And
you drove that Charger.
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
And so there was, we had to probably. I swear there was at least 5 or 6 of them.
Okay. Yeah.
There was. I think there might even been 8. There was one that was actually a mid-engine. All-wheel drive one. We never used it. Mid-engine, all-wheel drive, and then the rest of them were LS3s and a full tube chassis, and they've been in the last several of them, right? But there was one that I drove the whole time. I drove one of them, and I drove the wheels off it. I mean, I stuffed it into things that I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, but I mean that thing, like we did gnarly drifting sequence. One of them was a dream come true. You ever go to like a city and you see the in the middle of the city you see a huge fountain, right? And there's
big
a
circle,
big roundabout around it. I've always wanted to drift
just
around
pull
one
around the whole thing. Yeah.
And one of the sequences is there's a big helicopter shot. They're coming in, wrapping around. There's all this. The bad guys were coming in from this one side, entering from over here, and then Dom and Letty were coming around this way, and we kind of all met up on the other side. But it was like this big drift,
but like met together and drifted it.
Oh yeah,
and
it was
gangster.
Oh my goodness,
love it.
And that was awesome.
Dream come true.
Yeah, definitely. And then getting paid to do it, and then it's just being like,
that's
whatever
great.
happens.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It is fun.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Well, and I mean, you're driving one of the most like iconic cars on film.
Yes,
in today's standards.
Absolutely. Yeah, that car is definitely. I mean, it's the biggest car franchise ever in history.
Yeah.
So I mean, they definitely do some wild things. I mean, I definitely don't approve of all their storylines, but hey.
Oh, the storyline. No, but everybody gave up a long time ago.
Yeah,
so you're
I love
right.
the franchise for sure.
When they started the cars getting into planes and out of planes, it's like you're out of there.
Absolutely. But they did. They fired those cars out from C-130 or whatever it was. The C-130 and
the cargo plane.
Yes. Yeah. And they literally put them out, and it was just to hear the stories about that, because that one was before.
Yeah, because you talked to the team that was doing that one.
Yeah. It's the same guys I've been working with, and those
that's
dudes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you kind of got like you. So you said you did the last three.
Yeah.
But you got like the attention of the people that were working on those films.
Yeah.
I
they're two brothers that have run the last three, Jack and Andy Gill, and they've been, sort of like dads to me, to be honest with you. This great, family men, wonderful families. I've spent a large part of my later adult life with them, doing shows on the road, traveling, going to these different places. But I got to work on a show with Andy Gill, which is the younger brother, and it was Major Crimes. It was the TV show in LA, and he was playing a part and I was playing a part, and so him and I just hit it off one day, and we were chatting, and it was a robbery sequence while I was up on the second or third story of this house. I had to come through the glass. I had a mask and stuff on, and went out onto like a little subroof, and then jumped down to another. Came flying out the window, rolled onto that, got on my feet, jumped onto the next one, and then right when I jumped down to the bottom, the police just like bulldogged me, right in my side, whatever. Oh. Well, going through that window, I cut my hand open, right, and it's just protocol. They send you to get it cleaned out or checked out, whatever, because they don't want any liability or whatnot. So I think they cleaned it out, got some stitches, and I was back, and then we had to finish the sequence.
Oh wow!
Right. So him and I mean, he was telling me all these amazing stories. Anyways. Long story longer, and then I met his brother Jack, and from there it's just been this amazing relationship, because he's really big into motorcycles, and obviously I'm big into motorcycles as well, and so we've done a lot of fun things together and gone on some motorcycle trips together outside of work, and cool. The relationship started because of work, but then on the outside it's like
it grew.
Just like solid human beings, and a lot of same passion. Like they love cars obviously, and they love bikes, and they just Andy and Jack are both amazing, and they just creatively. So anyways,
that's cool. Yeah. You definitely see a lot more bikes in the newer fast films.
Yeah.
Like it well, I mean, it probably storyline wise, they probably needed to move out of cars, but like bikes being kind of a natural.
Yeah, especially with the Momoa thing, because he's a big bike guy, and he has a lot, and so he's super into that.
Yeah.
And then believe it or not, his double Joey Beccaro, he's such a close friend of mine, very close friend of mine, close brother of mine, and he's an amazing human being, big bike guy, and cool. And then Letty, believe it or not, she's a super huge fan of bikes,
cool.
And it took all the way up until 8 to where she finally got on a bike
for the film.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
that's
and so
cool.
her longtime double coming up that's done all of her driving
had to.
And she's a legend herself. Her name is Debbie Evans, and such a sweetheart, solid human, and extremely talented. One of the best motorcycle trials rider in the world, at the time, like when she was coming up, and then that's kind of what got her in the business, was all this trials riding and motorcycle stuff, and then and she's just
so she was actually like suited for this transition.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And amazing. She did all the stuff double in Trinity on the Matrix series, doing all the bike stuff for Trinity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's Debbie.
I just watched it. Just watched that.
Yeah, she's amazing. So then she came, and then finally, but then Debbie wasn't on that one because they were still doing the Iceland, or they were still over in Iceland for one sequence. So then a friend of mine, Crystal Hooks, amazing stunt girl, younger, like kind of my generation. She's younger than me, but in that newer generation of stunt people. And then she actually did all the stuff for Letty, and so she did the last one too, the big lay down in Fast X,
the slide.
Yeah, slide where the two cop cars come in and all that. So yeah. So
dope.
Is it cool to like when you're actually doing a stunt and they're filming it and everything, but then actually seeing the final product in the theaters or on the movie, and it's just like, that's just not how it was.
Absolutely.
Though. Yeah.
Probably that's not how it was.
Probably 90% of the time, it's just like, man, we worked on this thing for like 3 days, and
that's all we got.
They give it like 5 seconds, right? And you're like, wow. And it's like, wah, wah, wah. Or how they cut it together.
Now they cut it,
and they like miss the main part. I've had them edit, where you see an edit and you're like,
dude, you missed
the whole thing that we were doing, like
the cool part.
Yes, you cut out way too, and so
you cut out the cool part.
Yeah,
yeah, like the coolest part that in your mind that you did is
absolutely
not even making it. And you're like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Cool. So have you? I think that I read that you've actually did some acting roles. No,
I have. I've done some. I don't enjoy it. It's not something that I like to do. It works better for me if you're the director or whatever, and like, hey, do you mind saying some lines, or your character has some lines or whatever, and if you throw it at me quickly, then I don't have time to overthink it. But I'm the kind of person, like, I think too much, and that's like my worst downfall. Like, I care too much about things, so I overthink it. I'm like, I want to do this well. There was actually one time I had a rough start in stunts, and there was I ended up getting this job with this one guy, and he brought me up to San Francisco for this TV show that he was coordinating, and I was doubling the dad of this like little scene, and he's a drunk, and so he's like banging on the door, he's saying all these like obscenities and all this stuff, and he comes stumbling down, and then he ends up like, he goes to get after his son, but he ends up tripping, and he falls, and he like cartwheels down the
stairs.
Well, it's not stairs, but it's like dirt, and it's like a kind of really rocky area.
Oh, okay, outside.
And he's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, just listen and see what you can do. And so I memorized all of his guys' dialogue, and so I went up there and I did it. Right, and the director didn't ask me. They're just like, hey, could you overlap something? They typically what they'll do is like, so that
for the cut.
Yeah, especially for the other actor that you're working with. A lot of times is like, if she has to punch me or something, I'll have to give her a reason so that she can kind of get in the character.
You have to like dialogue it back.
Yeah, so that you can help them kind of get that frustration or whatever, right? And so I did that, and the director was super impressed. And he came up to me afterwards and was just like, hey, dude, you really made me look good. And I'm like, what?
You're like, what do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean? And he's just like, dude, you nailed all that dialogue. And the dude didn't even know his dialogue. Like
you're doing it better than the dude.
Yes. Well, that's what he said. And so it really, it was a big attaboy. And to me, that it meant a lot because, it's like, it's just something where you don't like it. But you know what? It worked, and I was just stoked that it worked well. And so that's kind of the thing that like is always those little nuggets. Like you're just stoked. But yeah, I've done some roles, and I would never call myself an actor by any means.
But I mean, you probably your calls come from stunt.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely, yeah.
When you get sought after for a certain like trade, like that's why they're calling you.
Absolutely.
But if there was something where it was like, hey, we need the stunt person to like act a little bit, like you can.
Well, it's sometimes it's like, oh, hey, especially like commercials or something. Oh, the delivery driver comes sliding up. He's got, he comes out, he's fumbling pizzas or whatever, and he's like, hey, I'm 30 minutes late, or whatever. It's stuff like that.
I gotcha.
Right.
You can do that, or they can coach you enough to work through it, but the main thing is they need the most dangerous part, which is obviously the driving or whatever, and then all the other stuff is just being a goofball. So you can kind of,
and then the credits say like pizza guy or something.
Yeah, pizza guy, Jef Groff.
Nice.
I've been called that for a long time.
Okay,
the pizza boy.
Pizza guy.
Pizza boy.
The pizza boy.
That's funny. I really would love it if you actually like had a stunt role that required mountain biking.
Oh man,
believe me, please give me that role.
Yeah, my agent, who's a longtime friend and family, like I lived with her and her family, like when I got out of school and stuff, and she's put me in for a lot of biking stuff, but I just have never got it.
What?
But hey, I mean, typically for commercial stuff, it's always a look thing. They want somebody that
right.
Like, looks this,
fits a certain look.
Yeah, that can do this or whatever. And commercials are there's a big demographic thing, especially nowadays. They want to get a lot of other ethnicities and stuff in there and make
there's
everything.
Probably tons of submittals, I guess, of different.
Yeah. Hundreds, and they feed. They weed through it, and you'll go in there and you'll get an audition. Mm-hmm. But it's a waste of time because really deep down they're like
they know what they're looking for. Yeah. Well, and that's like what's that? Is that casting agents?
Yeah, casting agencies.
That do that.
Yeah. I've been to a lot of casting agencies, and it's just like, all right, that's typically why I ride a motorcycle in California, because you'd get a call and be like, oh, hey, you got an audition. And I live up in Valencia, and then I got to get to get to Sunset, or somewhere on Melrose or wherever, all over the valley, and I'll have that maybe 3-4 times a day.
Oh wow!
So you're just going through, but if you're in a car, you'd never make it to one of them because it's just
parking.
Where
would you park it?
Yeah, well, not only parking, but it's just traffic. You know the deal. It's
what do they call it in California? You can do it.
Carpool.
No, where you can.
Oh yeah, split the traffic.
Split lanes.
Yeah, you can't do it here, but you can ride without a helmet on. I don't get it. But.
That is pretty backwoods. Backwards.
Yeah,
that's Arkansas for you. Backwards. It's backwards.
Yeah. There you go.
Technically, but no, I could see, and also too, I bet like having like the cycle, like the cycling side of your portfolio, probably helps with getting booked for some of this stuff. I mean, even fast.
I mean, it keeps me in shape. I'll definitely say that. And then also, it's really important for my mind. I mean, you know how it is with things that you do. You need those outlets of things that just you just enjoy, and it's not work. It's not it's not family. It's not anything. It's just something that you need, and it gives you that freedom. And so
fortunately, that is mountain biking for us,
right? And it is, and it really is, and it's such an escape. It's we all have great friends that we meet out on the trail. Some new ones, some that are a long time, and then from that, it's like. I just get to escape for a few hours, maybe 3-4 hours, and that's kind of like what I really enjoy about the bike park, because, you're riding a chairlift and you have, 10 minutes, sometimes 15, depending, that you're just on a lift with somebody and you get to talk, and next thing you know, you hit it off. We're like, oh, what trail are you riding? And that's how I met this dude, that I rode Thunder Mountain with. And then we still text and talk, and, and so... he's like, hey, are you coming? You coming up Thunder Mountain? So anyhow, but it's it's just something sweet that it definitely, because I look for ways when I'm in different places just to go ride bikes. Like when I was in Atlanta, and I brought my e-bike, and then I brought my jump bike over, and it's just fun. Just even riding pump tracks, just to find little creative lines, and it's gives your mind something else to think about besides. Oh, hey, I got to flip this truck next week, and I'm really, stressing about, overthinking the way I'm going to do it or something. So,
With bikes, what do you prefer? What's your go-to, like dirt jumping or trail riding?
I love single track, anything that's fun, fast, and jumps, obviously. But there's I was just riding in Atlanta. There's a few bike parks that I rode over there. The one that I really like. There's a place called Blankets and Big Creek. They're both fun. Blankets has got amazing jumps. Amazing. They have huge dirt jumps. And I hit them all on my e-bike. And I love that bike. But it's some of the biggest dirt jumps I've ever hit on a bike. And without being on like a downhill bike, but they were massive. And that place is fun, and then it has a bunch of trail riding like out in the back half, but like the front part is all like dirt jumps. And then Big Creek was more trails with like kind of like here, like big jumps in it, like during the trail. I just like anything fun and fast. Like I love going fast and I love jumps, so kind of just
that's what we're like.
We're in that category.
I don't know. There's a limit of big jumps for me, but a lot of times we get asked that want to go on like more of an XC ride, and we're like,
no.
No,
we just want to go as fast as we can.
Unfortunately.
I'm to be honest with you, like I keep hearing all this stuff about the downhill park that is being built in Mina, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm like,
Well, because it's chair.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a chairlift.
That's what I've been.
We're getting it. We're getting it.
So, and then Gravity Logic building it, and they have and it has
such good news.
It has more elevation than Thunder Mountain. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's like, right. 1,200 or 1,600.
I thought it was more. Yeah, I think it was over 1,400. So
I think it's 16.
Yeah.
I think 16 is
so
the figure.
I mean, that's 600 feet more of elevation than Thunder Mountain, and those runs are amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, the same place building it. So
and the fact that it's Gravity Logic, dude.
Yeah.
We're getting the same thing.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Like can't wait.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's within a short drive from us. So
dude,
it's like
I think we'll all be meeting there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll be taking some trips up there for sure.
Yeah.
What do you like riding around here?
Pretty much everything. I love, like, there's some cool things in the back 40 that I've really enjoyed lately. A lot of my friends live out that way in Bella Vista, and we live kind of north Bentonville, kind of on the border of Centerton and Gravette kind of area. And so it's easy for us just to come down the 49 and go kind of over into the Bella Vista area. But I just started riding e-bikes, so that's kind of been a game changer. So I kind of enjoy,
fist bumping.
Yeah, I kind of
bump across the table.
Yeah, but I was super anti e-bike because, like, one, the technology is changing so fast, and I didn't quite really. I've always been kind of hesitant once something new comes on, like, let it sort of
integrate.
Yeah, kind of figure out if it's going to work or not. Because I mean, just looking at the prices of e-bikes, so I didn't want to, like, basically have some heavy bike that I didn't really enjoy. Because
you're right.
I love more of a, like, poppy, playful bike than something that's super plush and it's got such a linear stroke. And all that stuff that you just.
They're making them so much more suitable for that.
Playful, lightweight. Yeah,
absolutely. And it is like, man, e-bikes are just so. If they're suitable anywhere, they're here just because the trails are so short.
Yes,
and you're just lapping them.
So that's the thing. Like, you go to Huntley now, and it's like, man, I can. Me and my sons, because I got the towies, and we'll go, and it totally changed our riding. Like, where we could maybe
how much you can ride
2 hours together, and then he would be like, or they would be like petered out. Now we can ride pretty much all day, or at least the last half of the day, and be stoked, like, and then leave stoked and be like, that was awesome, And so, and we're both getting something out of it. So to me, it's a win-win. But going over to Holler's been a lot of fun. Like, I like riding Holler because they've really,
in Missouri, Holler,
yeah. They've really kind of amped that place up. They're back, the Wizard, that not jump trail, but it's definitely probably one of the gnarliest trails around in our area.
Yeah, I hit it.
And it's like the wall ride. Like,
I didn't do the wall ride. I did the alt line, the one to the left.
Yeah, left, and then down the little cliff drop, right?
Yeah.
That is so fun. Like that. I mean, and it's just, those are huge gaps, like, on the huge gaps, but they're big gaps.
Big gaps.
You got it.
It's intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, but here, I mean, any of the, we ride, Huntley area, obviously all the stuff at Slaughter Pen. And then, I was really bummed to hear, what was that? What used to be a really nice jump trail that they built I want to say it was 2 years ago on J Street. Yeah. And it went alongside of J Street. And then I went over there, like, the end of right before Christmas. And it's, like, gone. Like, it's not even a jump trail anymore. Like, it was awesome. Like, it was one of the best. It was on the left-hand side of J. If you were going to, like, Mojo, you turned right on J. And you go down. And then there's that four-way cross there. And you went up. And I forgot the name of it. But it was right there on the left-hand side. And it was kind of right alongside the road. And I guess some people got hurt, like, because the jumps were big and they were pretty.
Oh,
poppy.
I know what you're talking about.
And they just mowed
along the dirt.
Yeah, they just mowed it.
Yeah. Okay.
And now maybe it was gone by the time I got here. I moved here in 2022.
No, this was just last year.
It was
recent that they mowed it because we went over there and my son was like, "What happened?" I go, "I don't know."
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
But
I can't think of it anyways.
And then my buddies took me over to that new what's the brewery sponsored trail? The one that's over it's in Slaughter Pen. It's It's if you were coming down out of the skills park in like if you went left there, you go down and you go over that little creek, the river, the stream, and then a little bit down you go into the woods there. Not this crazy gnarly hill that everybody can climb up, the George Bush Hill or whatever. Berm Creek. Thank you. Okay. Berm Creek.
Yeah.
Thank you. Berm Creek.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I was like brewery.
Yeah.
Like, Berm Creek sounds like a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just following your path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotta be Berm Creek.
Yes. Yeah. Berm Creek. That's fun.
Yeah.
I really like that.
That was a fun one.
That's a fun trail.
Yes. Definitely. All that stuff.
Well, and I mean, you did nail a point of like hitting a lot of things quickly on an e-bike.
Absolutely.
in like slaughter pin.
Yes.
Slaughter pin's like the best example of
castle laps.
e-bike.
I mean, that's just like the staple.
Yeah.
What you call it now is like we're getting castle laps.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yep. All the castle laps for sure. I think there's obviously stuff that's going to continue to improve here. I mean, there's so many full-time trail crews that live here now, and
we get some inside scoops, not like super detoiled, but just like just wait. We have this and this is gonna happen and stuff. And, I can't.
I know you keep hearing that, and you're like, well, how long do you want me to wait for?
Just
can you give me like
we're talking before Bike Fest, after. Like, what do you mean?
But it's like I think we get. We have so much option here. Yes. Like it's like I think we have so much that we're looking for the next one. Like, so what's going to be the next thing? I know, because we ride all this stuff all the time. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Passion Play actually. And when it was more fresh, Jagged Axe which was supposed to be on the show today. Alex did a great job on that build. Absolutely. And Rapture was like one of my favorite jump lines. Yep. And it's just it hasn't been touched in a while. I'm sure it's not running great right now. Yeah.
They definitely need to revamp. I mean, I would definitely say Passion Play is probably one of the best riding areas that we have, especially if you're on an e-bike.
Mm-hmm. Because going back, going deep.
Yeah, the trails that are there, just, I mean, I think it's better I'll probably get a lot of flack for it, but Leatherwood is great and they get a lot of attention and it gets ridden a bunch. But you have to work for it over at Passion Play because there's no shuttle. I mean, you can get it.
Definitely have to work for it.
You can get a shuttle or whatnot. But Passion Play was the first trail, really any trails that I rode in NWA when we moved here.
Love it.
Yeah, my buddy Ronnie took me out there, and I was on like a smaller jump bike. Not jump bike, but it was a Santa Cruz 5010.
But it was like a park bike.
And I got a size medium just because I love to throw it around and have fun. Yeah. And that's not the bike that you want to have out there. You're just like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm gonna die. Dude, all the pedaling too.
Well, and speaking of herding and pedaling, that's the hill climb. Oh yes. When you get done with everything, you pedal out, and you get to the bottom, and everybody's like, well, where do you go? Yeah. And you just look up. You're like,
up there.
You go that way.
Well, that's how I. Ended up how I called Passion Play because from
love it.
I came back in 21. I rode Passion Play, and I remember that they had this twisty, turny road, getting back out of there, and I'm like, I hated life, and I go, you know what? Maybe I'll just go up there and see if that road still exists or if it's in good condition or whatnot. So I pulled it up on Google Maps. I did my research, and then before I even went up there, I called, and they're just like, "Yeah, when do you want to set up a meeting? And let's go." And so Ken at Passion Play, great.
Ken, I never met Ken. He's a nice dude.
It's Kent.
That's it. Yeah, you're right.
He's a solid dude, and they love having people on their property, and they, obviously they have a great facility, and all the people there are just solid humans that, they love God, they love people, they want them around. Yeah. And
they do want that space used more.
Absolutely. They want it used, and I'm really, like, that's the one thing, like Arkansas, we have so much amazing stuff, and it's like we're all bringing little flavors from wherever we came from, because a lot of us are all transplants, right? Yeah. And like you have your vibe from San Diego, and you're from SoCal too.
I'm from SoCal, but I'm Arkansan at this point.
But I mean, for me, it's like we have all these little things. Well, yeah, California might suck for what it's doing, but like, how can I make it a little bit more better in my mind of you know, and so it's just adding that, and that's what I'm trying to do with Drift NWA.
No, that's great.
Bring something else, not only biking, but like bring something that, you know, somebody else will. Oh, I like biking, but I also love car stuff too. So
well, it's a culture piece.
Yes,
and I think that's what you're adding.
Yeah.
You know, your contribution to it.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that we can get someplace. Like I haven't really, you know, even used any of my resources to, like, you know, ask for funding or like get a track built or anything like that, because I'm trying to see what the, you know, do some analytics on kind of all of our drivers and where they're coming from, and like what's the actual need in base. And so then that way when I go to people, you know, or companies or, you know, foundations or whatever, and I say, hey, you know, I have analytics for years, right? And this is the need, and this is what they're asking for, and then we have this, and so I would hope that you would want to be a part of that, right? Well, and so it's just like bikes.
Yeah, you know? Totally. And it's like it's when you create an infrastructure is when you build an industry or you know, around that. Right. And I think about California and all the racetracks. Yeah. And I mean, obviously we're losing, you know, like Laguna Seca is on the chopping block. But there's still tons of options for racetracks in California. And here, I mean, closest ones you're looking at is, I mean, Hallett is over yonder. Up north, you know, about Ozark and International. But there's still, that's pretty far away.
Absolutely.
All those are pretty far away.
I mean, I haven't found a track that's closer than 3 hours.
Right.
So now that
I'm sorry, Kansas City, right?
Yeah, Kansas City. But then that's gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. What is it called?
Shoot. Anyways,
that place.
It got shut down.
Okay.
And because a lot of those guys are coming to my drift events because they lost that place is gone. So.
Oh. Yep. Okay.
Jumping into the chat, we got a
donut
powered in the house.
Donut.
Yeah, appreciate
donut. He's saying Perusian blue and marble flat system right by Passion Play.
Prussian blue.
Prussian blue.
Prussian blue.
Right.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, that's a good line. Yeah, that is a good line.
Yeah. When we were over there doing like the tests and stuff, like I'm out there looking at the trails. I'm kind of looking at the because
you're supposed to be there for talking about driving, and you're like, there are trails here.
Yeah, because I was actually on some of the trails, like off the side, taking video footage like from the tree, trying to get some like, you know, little glamour shots and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was just seeing what the quality of the trails are, and they just had their big mission work week for like 2 weeks out there, like reworking some trails and filling in some stuff.
Did not know that.
Really doing some like
on all the single track, like the
a lot
backwoods kind of stuff.
A lot of the stuff around. I don't know about the back stuff, but I mean I know that they had a crew out there that were starting to, you know, revamp some of the property and get things in line for the season.
Okay. Well, I know that work the labor for that place, they don't really have like a built-in
infrastructure for that.
Trail maintenance.
No, it's not like a crew, like, you know, they had the initial builders Jagged Axe, right? And then I think every now and then there's some local Eureka people that will come out and they'll volunteer and they'll do things and stuff like that. So but for just, I mean, it's really good natural terrain. I mean, that's just some really good, I mean, I think there's some better jumps and stuff like that there than they have over at Leatherwood for sure.
Right. Well, you're gonna upset some people saying that, but it's I can agree. I just said that Rapture is like one of my favorite lines, and I stand by that.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's definitely rad stuff at Leatherwood. I love riding Leatherwood, but there's also really good stuff there, and it just doesn't get ridden as much.
Yeah, well, and even the shuttle guys, they'll bounce people back and forth.
Yes, but you just have to set it up with them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was actually gonna. This is what I was gonna pull up was the where it's gonna be at.
Yeah, so this picture doesn't show it because this was so Spectra Car Club, who we've partnered with to do. So they're gonna hold a big car show for 2 days, obviously, from 9 to 1 on Saturday and from 9 to 12 on Sunday. And so we'll have some nice show cars and really nice cars as you enter. Like, so right down here is the statue, and where you come in, Yep, and so there'll be some nice cars all lined up there, and then the big administration parking lot. There'll be big, nice cars over there, and then it'll kind of continue down in front of the administration, the before the actual amphitheater where they do the passion play at.
Yeah.
And then that big parking lot that they have over there, that's where we'll have all the drift pits with all the rigs and cars, and then we'll have some vendors there. And then the food trucks will be in those.
That's the RV.
Yeah, the RV spots. Because we have 220. They have plugins and water and all that stuff. And
perfect.
So, yeah, we got some really good vendors that are coffee, food, burgers, all that stuff.
Rapture's right behind that, dude. We could
absolutely
get a couple of laps in.
And then actually, so the Holy Land Tour. So right there, that road that goes that way, that's the Jericho
That's
wall.
the line.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's where the line is.
So that's it goes in there, and then it goes down a little ways, and then there's a gate, and then that's the first turn, and then that's kind of where that's the end of it.
Yeah,
because we'll be coming up.
You're going to come up.
Yeah. And I've elected for this first one because we got 2 on the books with Passion Play. So we have one right now that's in obviously Mother's Day weekend, which I didn't really think about that when I was booking the dates.
Don't feel bad. I've done some bad booking in that department.
But then we have another one with them that we're gonna start to promote after this one. It'll be in November. Obviously, we'll reassess with the venue, make sure that they're happy and everything like that, and keep everybody on the same page. But
yeah,
if everything goes well but yeah, it's kind of farther down. I mean, if you brought up like Google Earth or something like that, you could see it.
Yeah.
You could see the road.
I can totally do that. I'll pull that up because it is like when you see the road like from above, you'd be like, oh yeah, you would drift that road.
Yeah.
Like because I've seen it, and anybody who's like climbed that trail, they know it's like tons of curves and it's steep.
Yeah. It's definitely I think a lot of these guys that are coming, some of them are, I mean, I had a pretty extensive application process, which went on for months, where guys could submit to drive, right? And it wasn't just like you were accepted. And so I had to then go through all their media and see driving, because a lot of people have never driven anything like this. It's not a track, it's a road. It's and there's consequences in certain areas. And so, yeah, if
let me see where we at.
And the road is what it is. They're not prepping it up for you.
There's nothing that you can really do to it, to be honest with you. Yeah. So if you keep following that to the screen up there. So that's the administration building there, and then that's where. So right here is the last turn. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the last turn right there, and it goes through the trees. That's an uphill, and then it goes down. There's a tiny little dip. There's a tight chicane there. It goes that way. Yep, and it S's. That's a big spectator area. That's the one
right here.
Spectator. So, yep, and then there's 2 turns right there. So the start line will be right over there, by that dirt section.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's going to be where we start at, and then if you come down, right here, this is where Jesus walks on water, and there's a little turnaround there, right here,
that's Jesus
and that's right and then this is where we'll load all the people who want ride-alongs and stuff like that. As long as you're 18, you can get ride-alongs in the cars. Typically at Drake Field, we'll let anybody get in the car to ride.
Oh, cool.
But for here,
you gotta sign up.
Yeah, well, no, it's not a sign-up thing. It's spectators. When you come, you can just ask anybody if they'll give you a ride. Some people will charge.
Gotcha.
Some people will give rides for free. But it's a way to help the drivers make some money too, because they're spending they're spending money to come to the event, and they're spending their money for tires, but it's a way for them to make money because people want rides. They want an experience like this. But we let kids and everything ride in the cars at Drake Field. But for here, just because of the consequences and insurance is a bit different, it's adults only, like 18 and above. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Well, I mean, these trails are pretty steep. Like they're on real steep cliff edges. So I mean, if something goes south,
the only dangerous area really is just right here, right? So right after that, there's this right hand chicane when you're coming up, and so there's a grass area right there which we'll have some spectators in, and we'll kind of wall it off because it goes underneath those trees. But if you move your cursor to the left just a little bit,
over here?
So right in front of that tree, and then those 2 trees right there. That's kind of the only danger zone because it does slope down right there on the road, and there's no guardrail.
So if
if you came out of that corner real hot and then you slung it back,
you could
chances are you would go off. Your rear wheels would be like kind of like that Ken Block shot where he's at the top of the cliff and he's
Gymkhana.
And so that's really the only one, because then you get in here and there's no, I mean, there's trees and a mountain wall on both sides of you, so you're just going to go into the side of the hill, because even if you overcook that corner going into there before you make that right hand to go up, you're just going to go into the side of the hill.
Right.
So, and then typically too, like how you run events like this is, you know, you just got to pump and stress safety. Like, hey, you have plenty of time. You have 2 days to do this. Don't wad your car up on the first day. Yep. You know, like if you wad your car up, it's just going to take time away from you and everybody else, right? You have a whole season of events ahead of you. You know, let's be smart.
Don't get wild with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have a really amazing videographer and a car this like car movie creator, like car creator guy, Chris Flink. He does his company is called Flink Films. He does a lot of really stylish, just you can just sense the emotion and stuff in it for some car events.
He did the thing for TogeCon, and then after that I ended up watching like all of his stuff, because this dude goes everywhere.
Yeah, so he did the stuff at the Drift Mansion.
He does all the Slammed Enough.
Absolutely Slammed Up. Yeah, so I went to their second to last, their last one that was down in Mississippi. Yes, I was there, and me and my buddy Mikey were there, and we drifted and had a blast with the Grip Royal guys and all those. And so, yeah, Chris is a rad dude. He's coming down from Illinois, and he's bringing his chase car. So he's going to do he's got his own camera car and stuff like that.
Oh, so that way he can get footage.
Yeah, chasing some of us and stuff like that. Sick. So, yeah. And then the fact that you can, if you're old enough, you can ride in the cars. Yeah. So it's like you get to come and for spectators and the drivers, you're getting an experience that, you know, you don't ever really get, and it's definitely never happened in Arkansas before.
No.
Right.
Legally.
It's so cool. I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
Like you said, you gotta get suited up and helmet and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So your car has to have a full roll cage. We do have a class of cars that don't have roll cages, and they'll be in their own run groups, like single run groups, not tandem, things like that.
Less horsepower,
and they can't have passengers in their car.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, but then too, it's like all these guys, like I'm gonna be watching like a hawk, right? Sure. And if there's anybody that just seems sketchy, like it's just not worth it, you know. I'd rather give somebody their entry fee back, which they're not gonna get it back because they signed up saying that they could do all this stuff.
Right.
And but anyways, it's just I'd rather pull the plug and have one less driver than have somebody get hurt. You know what I mean? Because I want these events to continue, and I want everybody to leave here with like super high stoke, right? And just know that there's going to be more, right? We can only make this better. And then also too, the like Kent and Randall and the whole staff at Passion Play, like they told me about some other project that they have coming up where they might put another road on another mountain, and they're like, if this goes well, then it would just give us. Yeah, there we go. There it is. Yeah,
I was like, I know there's a way I can do this.
Yeah, and it like doesn't. It's weird how this. It's like it doesn't even look accurate.
Oh no,
but it's 8 turns, and it's just under a mile from the gate there. Yeah, so just past that building right there, there's where they park their buses.
Right.
So there's a gate right there, and so there's 8 turns, and it's just under a mile.
Right, there we go. So this would be what we're looking at.
Yeah, and it's because it doesn't. I don't know how Google, but it doesn't, because you watch that video and it doesn't look like that. It's like, man, it's too straight. It's not.
Yeah,
because there's a turn in there that it's going straight because it goes through there. And, But anyhow,
totally.
It's gonna be wild, full of adrenaline.
Yeah,
just like a dig and ride jam.
No, it's tight, and I mean, it's like it. The other thing too is like how it's the DIY culture that you kind of talked about. I think is so cool because like it's not like with drift cars, it's not built that way. No. You know, and I mean, you have to make it.
Yeah, you gotta
do those things.
Absolutely,
you know,
you sure do. Yeah.
I learned a lot, like, you know, just like seeing that most drift cars are like completely ripped apart, and then, you know, like usually you have to have a different engine, you know.
Sometimes. Well,
I mean, depending on like what you're building off of.
I'm actually bringing out a brand new car right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one that I got in California, and I put it on the back burner. But it's a 2011 BMW M3 chassis.
Oh, wow!
Like the E92, E92. So yeah, I've been building that for a while, and we finally just got it. 99% of the way there, and it was on the dyno this morning, and so yeah, we're a couple, small. Obviously, there's always things to work out, but we'll be up there. I'll be up there shredding in that. Maybe we'll see, but I'll have my hands full with the event. So if I can get a few laps here and there, that's all that matters.
Yeah, you probably have to get some obligatory laps because, it's like your event. You're like, I gotta show my face.
Yeah,
show my tires.
Believe me, you'll see me all over the place. But,
yeah, right.
I mean, if I get to drive, great. If I don't, I'm just. To be honest with you, once I started hosting my own events, it was just seeing the people's reactions, and from the spectators to the drivers, and just like it is like when I see people get super stoked at a bike event or whatever, it's that same joy and the adrenaline and the stoke that you get from it.
Yeah,
it's like, and then that's all you talk about.
Yeah,
and it's like people, and then they'll message you, and and you're just like afterwards, and you're like, oh, hey, when's the next event? And I had so much fun, and my grandma came out. She's never gotten to see me drive, and it was right next door to her. It's like
it's the creation of hype.
Yeah,
and when you realize that when you put together an event and like all the dots connect.
Yeah,
it's like people are stoked.
It's absolutely,
and we made it happen.
Well, and it's just like bikes, but it's given me drifting, and bikes have been such a integral part of my life, right? And I want to give back. I want to give and help other people have what I experienced, right? And so I think that's the only way that our sports continue to thrive is if you as an individual, can contribute somehow. And it doesn't have to be you create your own events or host your own events, but it's something in the sense of like either you just you start creating ride groups or something to to keep people and keep the stoke going, and so
it's like the spread of the vibe,
right? Because definitely where you see a need, try to fill that gap or fill it, and that's what I'm trying to do here in Arkansas, and so
that's a great point.
With Drift on WA and then partnering with Reaction Motorsports. I mean, it's that's my business partner Brandon. Who
I meant to bring that up.
Who runs he runs Reaction Motorsports. It's his deal, and he does all the autocross. And then
gotcha.
Yeah, and then last year I started Drift on WA with him.
Okay.
And so it's gonna keep going until it's hard to balance it, especially with work, because there was a chance that I was gonna go. I was actually in Atlanta on this last show, and I was gonna go right to Budapest for another show. Yeah. And I was gonna have to miss this event that we've been planning for like 6 months now, so that would have not been fun. That would have been a bummer.
Yeah. But stars aligned and
absolutely. It was like time to come home.
That's great. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if anybody wants to see more about this event, where's the best place to find the information aside from Instagram?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook group. It's private just because we don't want any of the trash and stuff in there on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and you go to groups and you search Drift on WA, you request to join, we'll approve you, and then from there, it's all the stuff's posted in there. All the media will be posted in there. Everything
gotcha.
It'll be posted online too, and you'll see people tagged or whatnot. But all the stuff will be in there, like the time of what everything what's going on. And believe it or not, man, the city of Eureka Springs, the police officer called me yesterday, Officer Licker. She's a wonderful lady, and I was like, hey, you know what? I forgot to kind of mention this, or I go, I think it'd be really cool if maybe the next event, if we did a parade through town with all the drift cars.
Yeah.
Oh,
she's
cool.
like, absolutely, let's do it. No joke. She set it up in 30 seconds.
It.
Fully embraced us, man. I can't say thank you, Eureka Springs. If any of you guys are listening,
so cool.
That's
Props,
super
Eureka.
Rad that they are an event city.
They're down to do
they love
skateboarding.
Talking about it.
They've
always been good with us.
Yes, they want anything that people enjoy to do, and so. I'm going to continue my relationship with Eureka Springs, and just because they have a lot of amazing roads and opportunities up there that we don't have here.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's a little more bureaucracy here in Bentonville and the NW, so I think up there they have a little more open mind. And I might, we'll see what happens up in Eureka Springs.
No, you brought a good point up that I think that a lot of people need to hear is that, like if you're coming here and you want to like grow and you feel like you don't know how you're going to fit into a certain place or whatever, you can make your own. You can. That's how expansive Arkansas and open it is that start your own thing and you will grow your own.
Well, look at One Wheels. Like look at all that stuff. I mean, and it's something that like the next thing is right around the corner. It just is going to take you to come here to do it, right?
And put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
And like you're doing with Drift NWA, I mean, like what we do with Gnarkansas. Absolutely. I mean, it's like you have to put yourself out there and then like, show that you're willing to do the legwork to grow something.
Absolutely. And that's when I saw your post about the dig and ride over at Huntley, and I was like, I missed it.
Oh, our jam,
the jam day,
it was a good day.
It wasn't
we
even,
weren't digging.
Yeah, at Mad Hatter too, right?
Oh yeah, we did the Mad Hatter.
Yeah,
one
so that's
as well.
when I was bummed because I love
Mad Hatter's a good one.
That revamp on there. Oh my gosh, I love.
It's a good time.
Yes, that was an experimental one, and it turned out great.
Yeah,
I love that trail.
There was quite a few people that showed up, and the edit Brandon did was amazing.
Yes,
it was a lot of fun.
I have some tricks in mind for that last step
up.
I've been tossing some ideas around, but
the best part about that one is that it's consistent.
Yes.
It's that wood lip, you're gonna like get the same thing out of it every time.
That's
important.
At Drop the Hammer Step Up. It's turning into a session. It's not so
every
much
time. Every time I go there, there's it's like there's a group of kids, and then everybody's like, "Come on, let's just hit this," and you're just
and then you end up not leaving that spot.
But it's not even about like the first drop anymore. It's just like it's the run in.
It's all about the run in for the step up.
We were just there the other day, and we we're just lap after lap, we were all trying different stuff. And
absolutely. Yeah. So rad.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Props Kohler. Shout
absolutely. Kohler is amazing. I love that place. Like it's cool that like you can go there with your family even if they don't ride bikes.
Oh yeah.
Right, because they can walk around.
Everybody
do
gets something.
And you can go shred and get some laps in and do whatever. And then now that they made, it's just it's a whole environment there, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool. It really is. It's I think they're doing great things.
It's probably one of the most family friendly,
absolutely
singular like locations for mountain bike.
Absolutely,
here,
hands down. Yeah, hands down. Because even when our kids were a little bit littler, I mean, they still rode whatever, but. There's just even that grass area outside of it's the airship or whatever.
The airship,
right?
Yeah.
So right in front of that and that whole deal. I mean, it's like, and then playing in the creek when it's warm out. Whatever. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
dude,
man.
Totally. Well, dude, we're getting close to our 2-hour mark. Covered a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is just like the tip of the iceberg too, man. We didn't really even. I mean, we went off on some tangents.
Oh, dude. Well, that's what happens, dude. Every time we come in, it's
I will say though, isn't it just like coming here from somewhere else? It's like so refreshing that you can do these things here, so easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and everybody's open minded about it. Even here, like there is more bureaucracy for sure, but it's so much easier. You couldn't do any of this stuff in California without so much red tape and jumping through hoops, and it's just like so easy.
And then to hear you like talk about Eureka Springs as being like so welcoming,
absolutely. Like they made their own post about our event. Like
you don't have to ask them.
Like the city did, but
it's almost like, was this really happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I really like what you said, because Arkansas, like, and don't get me wrong, like, and I'm sure you guys have felt the same thing. Anytime that you, especially from California or anywhere else, you're like, why'd you move to Arkansas? Like,
oh yeah.
And they just have this like hillbilly redneck, trailer park deal.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not saying that it's it's not that in certain places or whatnot, but it's those kind of people make it super special, because it's like there's no judgment. It's just like you're saying, there's the welcome with open arms. It's like people sit on their porches, like we'll ride around the neighborhood, people say hi to us, and it's not like you're bothering people for their time. It's like they want to be involved, they want you around, all that stuff.
They want to see cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so here, I'm I keep looking up at that Gnarkansas, the skate deck, and I'm like, it really is cool, you know, because like this place is really gnarly. Like there's so many cool opportunities from moto to side by side to 4-wheel to Jeep. The Jeep community here is huge.
Oh, the overlanding.
My next door neighbor's into it. His Jeep is dope. So in that, and then I mean the list goes on. One wheel. Now they have the one wheel convention at the Passion Play, like the whole one wheel deal. And then here now and Kohler and all that stuff. And it just keeps every year just keeps getting a little bit more.
I don't think gnarly. That everybody in the shred ecosphere ever thought that Arkansas was going to be the place that even was a conversation, a part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Especially Californians.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. I'm all about it, and I'm glad to be here because like we keep, you know, for me, I always have to go someplace else. That's the only thing that sucks about my job is that I'm always traveling.
Sure.
And so then I'm away from the family. So I've been tempted to buy like a place over in Atlanta, because that's kind of like the only other real big like hub that we.
Well, like a lot of Hollywood stuff is shifted to Atlanta. And so. Because to me, I mean, there is a part of it like being at home or, you know, going sleep in your own bed is much more, you know, mental space wise. It's healthy, but it's tough when you come back here. It's just like I feel at peace. You know what I mean? Like you have that, you know, it's like, okay, this is my spot. You know, so I you know, and I heard that they were building a 90-acre studio down in Fort Smith. So I don't know if that is actually real happening or not. Yeah, I've heard of that rumor too.
Yeah, so hopefully it is because it was in a magazine. Like my wife found it. I think it was on like a Facebook post or something. There was some publication, but hopefully they do because I mean,
those bring work here.
Arkansas
There's been a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
here,
absolutely.
Hollywood-wise.
Yeah. I was supposed to work on a show that was just here while I was in Atlanta, but it was only for like a few weeks off and on, and then that show was like 7 weeks straight work. So it was hard. I couldn't say yes to that. And so the stunt coordinator actually was like, "No, you're good, go." And so I had a bunch of friends that came into town and actually came into work, and they're like, "Dude, your place is beautiful here. It's like amazing." So
got him.
Hey, that's right. That's really. I'm like, hey, dude, this is where it's at.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, dude.
Sure.
No,
I'd love to come back another time.
Yeah,
for
man.
Sure.
No, absolutely. I mean, we never expected this, but like, return guest is like something that's going to start being a thing because like you never cover enough things. It's like we ramble for 2 hours, and you're like, man, we didn't talk about a lot of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like we talked about a lot of stuff, but like we didn't cover like everything. So like that's why I want to like have people back. So I'd love to have you back. For sure. You know, talking about, you know, the way that the events transform from now to then.
Absolutely.
Like, there's going to be a lot.
Yeah, and more mountain biking stuff too, because like it's such a. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people tune in to hear more mountain biking stuff. So I'm sorry if you're not.
Sorry, guys. we did try.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked about.
It's always cool, like to meet new people that actually ride that I've never met you before, but I how much you want to bet I'm gonna go?
Absolutely,
dude.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, right. Well, and what it is too is like this stuff that especially like car culture. So like at TogeCon, one of the things that we when people walked up to the Gnarkansas booth, the one thing that we heard more than anything, like, oh man, I used to skate.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, we get that a lot.
Yeah, we were right next to you, and I was like, why does that? Because even my wife said, she's like, that's really cool. Because when I said Gnarkansas, and then you and I were chatting, and you're like, yeah, I'm from out there, and I'm like, I know that this dude is familiar. I'm like, so anyways, small world, and now we're, now it is
right
what
in
it
the
is.
same spot.
Absolutely.
No, I mean that, and so like my point being is that it's this, and I've been trying to work on this term. I think I'm landing at something. It's shred adjacent.
Shred adjacent. I love it.
So it's like all this stuff that like we're all kind of connected through this like weird web. Of just like getting gnar.
Yeah.
Like you just get gnar in different ways, and it's like in a car. Stuntman. Bike, motorcycle, skate. Kayak off of a waterfall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It all connects in Arkansas. Absolutely. All roads lead to Arkansas.
Yeah. They sure do, especially off the 40, man.
That's right. That's right. Well, thanks for coming. Everybody, thanks for watching. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And see you on the next one.
See you.
Right on.
There you go.